The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 4490. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 4490, number 5 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to agriculture, the second engrossment.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 4490.
Third reading. I recognize the author of the bill, the member from Mauer, Representative Poppy, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. House File 4490 is the Ag Finance Bill. It addresses issues facing our farmers, producers, processors, and grocers. Although many of the items were important to address pre-COVID-19, the coronavirus has exacerbated the stress and financial strain our farmers are under. Within this bill, we support our farmers with a number of provisions which we expect will be funded via federal dollars, including the CARES Act. These items include an increase of $40,000 for additional outreach, especially addressing suicide prevention, mental health awareness, and training for farm and rural adolescents, $200,000 for farmers and value-added ag businesses whose markets and operations were negatively impacted by COVID-19. We increased the capacity of farm advocates with $60,000 additional one-time dollars. Although they have been serving our farmers very capably, the COVID-19 pandemic has heightened the need for their services and expertise. We create a farm crisis loan origination fee program, Representative Lippert's bill, funding it with $175,000, providing grants to eligible farmers in mediation, covering 50% of the loan origination fee. We provide $125,000 to food handler safety, sending money to small grocers to pay for personal protective equipment, plexiglass, gloves, and cleaning supplies for grocery store workers. This item was requested by the Minnesota grocers. The two priority items not likely to be funded via CARES Act remain top priorities and will be funded by non-general fund dollars. We adjust previously designated dollars sent to the University of Minnesota for AGREET, which is a program originally spearheaded a few years ago by Representative Hamilton. AGREET stands for Agricultural Research, Education, Extension, and Technology Transfer. Our bill provides guidance to the AGREET board to purchase equipment for the vet diagnostic lab at the University of Minnesota. Pre-coronavirus, the biggest threat to pig farmers was anticipated to be African swine fever, an animal disease that could decimate the hog industry. But at the present time, COVID-19, a human disease, shut down markets, resulting in healthy animals being killed. This funding and equipment is extremely important as African swine fever remains a serious threat. We address farm safety, Representative Brandt's bill, with a $50,000 amount in grant dollars to begin a program and allows Minnesota Department of Ag to seek and receive private dollars to support the program. We also provide $50,000 for outreach, curriculum creation, and digital application development for farm safety. This is the nature, purpose, and financial highlights of the bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Cottonwood, Representative Hamilton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'd like to thank Chair Poppy, for not only leading on this and putting this bill together, but for reaching out and working with the minority. She's been extremely open and willing to work with us and getting our feedback the entire way. So I can't thank her enough for that. Members, this is a good bill. It's been trying times, and I would simply ask for your support. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Pine, Representative Nelson.
Thank you. And the agriculture is a very big, important part of our state, and these changes that are being made, and especially for our food supply, keeping it safe. This spring, I've had a couple times I've called in from the tractor seat for session. So if anyone was wondering, that might have been me. But my 19-year-old daughter has done more planting this spring than I have, and that's a big change because that's the first time since I've taken over the farm that someone else has done that job. But it's exciting for me to see my daughter in that seat. And it's exciting to see that, as I'm a third generation, and I want to see that go on. If she chooses to go on to the fourth generation, I think it's important to be able to offer the support and guidance that we have here, and looking at keeping a safe and healthy food supply is important, and I just thank you for the work that's been done on this bill.
The member from Nicollet, Representative Brandt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There are a lot of important parts to this bill. Minnesota ranks third in the nation for farm accidents, and so I wanted to speak a little bit about that. 9 Minnesotans died in grain bins in the last 6 months of 2019 alone. One of them was Landon Graham, the son of David and Michelle Graham, the brother of James, and the boyfriend to Madeline, and a friend to many at the St. Peter High School in the graduating class of 2020. In normal circumstances, you would have seen the Graham family up in the gallery here today as I talked to them about Landon's Law, but unfortunately, with circumstances the way they are, they're back home, and they're back home waiting for Landon's Law to be passed by the legislature and signed by Governor Walz. Landon went to work at a neighbor's farm, working in a grain bin that tragic day in August. The autopsy says that it is likely the auger caught his blue jeans, pulling him into the sweep auger blades. His mother, Michelle, testified on February 20th in the House Agriculture Committee that Landon was trapped by a sweep auger for hours before succumbing to his injuries alone. The reality is that many grain bin deaths are ones in which the victims die alone. They don't have the safety equipment, and they don't have a way to call for help during this emergency. Some victims have literally drowned in their own corn from traumatic asphyxia. $50,000 of the money appropriated in this bill will go towards grain bin safety grants. An additional $50,000 will be put towards outreach, the development of grain bin safety curriculum, and to work with the University of Minnesota to develop a digital application that will allow users to remotely shut off the grain bin auger by electronic device and to dial 911. I want to again express my deepest condolences to the Graham family and to every other family that has had loved ones not come home due to a farming accident. I hope this isn't the last time that you hear me talk about this issue. This bill isn't a silver bullet. However, I do believe it is a start in the right direction. I want to thank Chair Poppy, my fellow committee members, Commissioner Tom Peterson, the Minnesota Farm Bureau, the Minnesota Farmers Union, the Minnesota Corn Growers, Governor Walz, and the 39 students in the 2020 class in St. Peter that wrote me a letter saying we needed to pass Landon's Law. I urge a green vote on this bill. Thank you.
The member from Pope, Representative Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I too would like to thank Chair Poppy for shepherding this ag bill through the process, which became a little bit awkward at times with the conference calls and things like that, not meeting in person. It contains some good things, especially when we think about the situation we're in today. There's some modest increases for mental health, for farm advocates, and for suicide prevention. One other aspect of the bill I'd like to comment on for a couple of minutes, that has to do with $200,000 for grants to farmers and businesses, ag businesses, negatively impacted by COVID-19. Well, I think nearly every farmer and every ag business has been affected negatively by COVID-19. I think of the losses incurred by those that produce hogs and pork. Their losses are staggering. When we lost the processing plants in Sioux Falls and Worthington, Minnesota lost about 1/2 of its processing capabilities, and all those hogs had no place to go. The situation is getting better, but we are still seeing animals euthanized because they had no place to be processed. It was interesting to learn that we look to the federal government to provide funding in some of these instances where losses are huge and large. But according to Colin Peterson, congressman from our district, he said that right now USDA has no authority to pay for healthy animals put down because of this situation. They have authority to pay for animals that are sick or diseased, which they've done in the past, but currently there's no legislation available that they can compensate farmers today for hogs that they've had to euthanize because they have no place to go for slaughter. Our dairy farmers also are finding out that when the milk checks came this month in May, they were in for a surprise. The price of milk has dropped substantially. We've been fortunate that so far in our state, milk has not had to be dumped yet, but the prices have been dropping, and they too are operating in the red once again. So dairy, poultry, hogs, and beef all affected negatively by what's happening in our state and around the world. And agriculture is again at the forefront of taking the brunt of some of these things happening, and it illustrates that the entire economic system has to work together and function as one. When schools and colleges closed, we had no market for, or less of a market for cheese, for example. They had to switch processing, and then we had milk that had no place to go, and that was dumped in states as close as Wisconsin. So we have to work together, and I appreciate the funding in this bill. It recognizes the difficulties that agriculture faces, and members, I too would encourage a green vote.
The member from Sibley, Representative Gruenhagen. I think you need to switch the microphone on, Representative Gruenhagen.
Is that better?
That is.
Okay,
Representative
thank you.
Gruenhagen.
Oh, would the author of the bill yield for a question?
Representative Poppy, will you yield for a question?
Yes, I will.
She will. Representative Gruenhagen.
Representative Poppy, I like the bill, and in terms of crisis, you've heard enough about it already, but I'm from a rural area. Everywhere you turn, it's a crisis out in the rural area right now. And so anything we can do to help, I certainly appreciate. But on my fiscal note, I've got that $600,000 comes out of the general fund. Is that how that's going to be paid, and will that simply increase our deficit of $2.4 billion, or how is that being funded? I was sitting in the alcove and it kind of echoed. I couldn't hear very good.
Representative Poppy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Representative Gruenhagen, no, the money that is the $600,000 for the vet diagnostic lab will come from AGREET funding, and AGREET funding is money that we have given to the University of Minnesota for the ag research done there. And so we are requesting and telling them that they will need to use the money to be able to support the vet diagnostic lab. So $1 million of those dollars are adjusted a little bit, so $675,000 will pay for the vet diagnostic lab.
Representative Gruenhagen.
Okay, thank you, Representative Poppy, and I think it's a very good bill. I plan on supporting it.
Any further discussion? Representative Poppy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to acknowledge our very able and competent staff, including Colby Sullivan, our nonpartisan research, Ken Savory, nonpartisan fiscal analyst, Republican research, Harry Miracle, DFL research, Bennett Smith, Committee Administrator Nancy Connolly, and Committee Legislative Assistant Carl Kazi. And I appreciate the work of all of our committee members, especially Vice Chair Representative Brandt and Republican lead Representative Hamilton. And I'd also like to acknowledge, as many have, the painful and near catastrophic situation many of our farmers find themselves in. Through no fault of their own, they may be forced to make incomprehensible decisions. This bill and these funds do not fully address the needs of our farmers and producers, but they do provide support and assistance during these extremely challenging times. And with that, Madam Speaker, members, I ask for your support.
The clerk will take the roll on House File 4490.
Acom.
Acom, aye.
Acom, aye. Albright.
Albright. Aye.
Albright, aye. Anderson. Anderson, aye. Backer.
Backer. Aye.
Backer, aye. Bonner.
Bonner, aye.
Bonner, aye. Barr. Barr, no. Baker. Baker, aye. Becker, Finn. Becker, Finn, aye. Bennett.
Bennett, aye.
Bennett, aye. Bernardi.
Bernardi, aye.
Bernardi, aye. Bierman.
Bierman, aye.
Bierman, aye. Bow.
Bow, aye.
Bow, aye. Brand. Brand, aye. Cantrell.
Cantrell, aye.
Cantrell, aye. Carlson, A.
Carlson, A, aye.
Carlson, A, aye. Carlson, L.
Carlson L. Aye.
Carlson, L, aye. Christensen.
Christensen, aye.
Christensen, aye. Claflin.
Claflin, aye.
Claflin, aye. Considine.
Considine, aye.
Considine, aye. Daniels.
Daniels, aye.
Daniels, aye. Doubt. Doubt, aye. Davids. Davids, aye. Daphne.
Daphne, aye.
Daphne, aye. Dean.
Dean, aye.
Dean, aye. Damath.
Damath, aye.
Damath, aye. Detmer.
Detmer, aye.
Detmer, aye. Dreskowski.
Gruskowski, aye.
Dreskowski, aye. Eklund.
Eklund, aye.
Eklund, aye. Edelson.
Edelson, aye.
Edelson, aye. Elkins.
Elkins, aye.
Elkins, aye. Erickson.
Erickson, aye.
Erickson, aye. Fabian.
Fabian, aye.
Fabian, aye. Fisher.
Fisher, aye.
Fisher, aye. Franzen.
Franson, aye.
Franzen, aye. Freiberg.
Freiberg votes yes.
Freiberg, aye. Garofalo.
Garofalo, yes.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, aye.
Gomez, aye. Green. Green, aye. Grossel.
Grossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Grunhagen. Grunhagen, aye. Gunther.
Gunther, aye.
Gunther, aye. Haley.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye. Halverson.
Halverson, aye.
Halverson, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson.
Hanson, aye.
Hanson, aye. Hassan.
Hassan, aye.
Hassan, aye. Hausman.
Hausman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Heinzman. Heinzman, aye. Her.
Her, aye.
Her, aye. Hertos.
Hertos, aye.
Hertos, aye. Hornstein.
Hornstein, aye.
Hornstein, aye. Howard.
Howard, aye.
Howard, aye. Hewitt.
Hewitt, aye.
Hewitt, aye. Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Johnson, aye. Jordan.
Jordan, aye.
Jordan, aye. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, aye. Keel.
Keel, aye.
Keel, aye. Cleavorn.
Cleavorn, aye.
Cleavorn, aye. Cagle.
Cagle, aye.
Cagle, aye. Katiza Wattoon.
Katiza Wattoon, aye.
Katiza Wattoon, aye. Kosnick.
Kosnick, aye.
Kosnick, aye. Kreshaw.
Grisha, aye.
Kreshaw, aye. Kunish Podine.
Kunish Podine, aye.
Kunish Podine, aye. Lehman.
Lehman, aye.
Lehman, aye. Lee.
Lee, aye.
Lee, aye. Lesh.
Lesh, aye.
Lesh, aye. Liebling.
Liebling, aye.
Liebling, aye. Lean. Lean. Lily.
Lily, aye.
Lily, aye. Lippert. Lippert, aye. Listlegard.
Listlegard, aye.
Listlegard, aye. Long.
Long, aye.
Long, aye. Lucero.
Lucero, yes.
Lucero, aye. Lewick.
Lewick, aye.
Lewick, aye. Mahoney.
Mahoney, aye.
Mahoney, aye. Mann.
Man, aye.
Mann, aye. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Marquardt.
Marquardt, aye.
Marquardt, aye. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. McDonald.
McDonald, aye.
McDonald, aye. Mecklin.
Meckland, aye.
Mecklin, aye. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moeller.
Moeller, aye.
Moeller, aye. Moran.
Moran, aye.
Moran, aye. Morrison.
Morrison, aye.
Morrison, aye. Munson.
Munson, aye.
Munson, aye. Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Murphy, aye. Nash.
Nash, aye.
Nash, aye. Nelson, M.
Nelson M. I.
Nelson, M, aye. Nelson, N. Nelson, N, aye. New. New, aye. Nor.
Nor, aye.
Nor, aye. Nornis.
Nornis, aye.
Nornis, aye. Novotny.
Novotny, aye.
Novotny, aye. O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll, aye.
O'Driscoll, aye. Olson.
Olson, aye.
Olson, aye. O'Neill.
O'Neill, aye.
O'Neill, aye. Pulowski.
Pulowski, aye.
Pulowski, aye. Purcell.
Purcell, aye.
Purcell, aye. Petersburg.
Petersburg, aye.
Petersburg, aye. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Poppy.
Poppy, aye.
Poppy, aye. Poston.
Poston, aye.
Poston, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, aye.
Pryor, aye. Quam.
Quam, aye.
Quam, aye. Richardson.
Richardson, aye.
Richardson, aye. Robbins. Robbins, aye. Runbeck.
Runback, aye.
Runbeck, aye. Sandell.
Sandell, aye.
Sandell, aye. Sandsted.
Sandsted, aye.
Sandsted, aye. Sauk.
Sauk, aye.
Sauk, aye. Schumacher.
Schumacher, aye.
Schumacher, aye. Schultz.
Schultz, aye.
Schultz, aye. Scott.
Scott, aye.
Scott, aye. Stevenson.
Stevenson, aye.
Stevenson, aye. Sundin.
Sundin, aye.
Sundin, aye. Swazinski.
Swazinski, aye.
Swazinski, aye. Tabke.
Tabke, aye.
Tabke, aye. Tice.
Tice, aye.
Tice, aye. Torkelson.
Torkelson, aye.
Torkelson, aye. Erdahl.
Erdahl, aye.
Erdahl, aye. Vang.
Vang, aye.
Vang, aye. Vogel.
Vogel, aye.
Vogel, aye. Wagenius.
Wagenius, aye.
Wagenius, aye. Waslowick.
Wozlowick, aye.
Waslowick, aye. West.
West, aye.
West, aye. Winkler. Winkler, aye. Walgamot.
Walgamot, aye.
Walgamot, aye. Zhang Jie.
aye.
Zhang Jie, aye. Zhang Ti.
Young T, aye.
Zhang Ti, aye. Joachim.
Joachim, aye.
Joachim, aye. Speaker Hortman. Speaker Hortman, aye. Lean.
Lean, aye.
Lean, aye.
There being 133 ayes and 1 nay, the bill is passed and its title agreed to.